Hello, in this short video I'm going to show you how to fit a non-stick path roller sleeve onto a path roller, in this case a 10-inch path roller. A couple of things you need to bear in mind before you start working. The first one is to make sure that the path roller that you're fitting the sleeve onto is completely clean and that you've removed any traces of inks, varnishes or adhesive materials. The second one is to make sure that the inside of the sleeve is completely clear, to make sure no debris has fallen inside it before fitting it onto the sleeve. So in this case all we're going to do is fit the sleeve onto the end. We've pre-cut the non-stick sleeve, allowing a minimum of 10mm either side to allow for the shrinkage, and then when we finish the process we'll use a sharp craft knife just to trim off the edges to make sure there's nothing sticking out at the ends. It's also a good idea to have a nice clean cloth available so that we can use this to wipe the surface, which does get a little bit hot, obviously due to using the heat gun, and this will obviously keep any debris from building up on the surface also. It's just there to wipe out any creases that may form as part of the shrinking process. Obviously it's a good idea also to use a heat resistant surface underneath, so this could be a metal table. In this case we're using a granite tile just to stop any heat from being absorbed into the work surface, causing scorching. So there are a number of ways that you can actually fit the sleeve. You can start shrinking the sleeve at either end, or personally I prefer to start in the middle of the sleeve just to allow it to grip onto the surface and then work outwards slowly but maintaining a constant motion back and forward, which will prevent any lateral creases forming in the sleeve, which can be quite difficult to get out and a little bit tricky. So without further ado, I want to turn the heat gun on to the highest setting, just allowing the heat to build up. One other note to mention is when you're actually fitting the path roller sleeve and you're rolling the sleeve back and forward, it's really important to keep an eye on the actual position of the roller within the sleeve, just to make sure that it isn't creeping out of one end, because once the sleeve grips onto the surface of the roller it can become very difficult to push it back over again. So we've now got enough heat in the heat gun, and I'm going to start very gently from a little bit of a distance, just introducing some heat onto the sleeve material, and you can probably already see that we're getting some shrinkage in the sleeve there. Keeping the roller moving backward and forwards to minimise the chance of any creasing. And again, just keeping an eye on the end of the roller to make sure that the path roller isn't starting to creep out from the edge of the sleeve itself. Now hopefully on the video you'll be able to see the effect that we have here, where the sleeve material is now shrunk down to the size of the roller and is gripping it quite firmly. So I'm just going to continue the heat there to allow the sleeve to shrink as much as possible, so we've got a nice tight bond, and then gradually, while still rotating the roller and pointing the heat gun out towards the end, I'm just going to move the heat gun along, and as you can see the sleeve is shrinking nice and evenly. Now at this point, just for ease, I'm going to just turn the roller around the other way, again starting in the middle, just gradually build the heat up until we can see the sleeve material starting to shrink. Keeping a bit of a distance of approximately 10 to 15 centimetres away from the roller surface. The sleeve material doesn't burn, but if you introduce the heat gun too close, it can lead to creasing in a certain area where the sleeve suddenly shrinks down faster. And again, all I'm doing now is just keeping the roller rotating and gradually bringing the heat back towards the centre. And now turning the roller around again. Again, from a safety point of view, just make sure that the heat gun is always pointed away from the hand that you're using to rotate the roller. Now you can probably see at the end of the roller, the sleeve is folding over itself, and this is ideal because it allows us to get the sharp knife at the end and just trim the edge of the sleeve up to avoid any loose edges or sharp edges sticking out from the end. You can continue to apply heat to the surface of the roller just to make sure that any potential creases tend to pull themselves clear. And as I'm rotating the roller, I can just feel a couple of areas over here where there's some small bubbles. So I'm just going to keep heating this area. The roller itself and the sleeve should get quite hot to the touch where it becomes uncomfortable to touch. But as I said, don't worry about burning the actual sleeve material. As long as you keep some distance between the heat gun and the surface of the sleeve, the material will not melt. Okay, so we can see from here we've got a nice smooth surface finish. There's no bubbles. The sleeve has pulled itself very tight and evenly around the surface. The only thing to do now is to use a sharp craft knife, cut in from the edge, and then just gently, not too short, just leave a little bit of an overlap on the edge of the roller and trim up. That is the end of the demonstration, but if you do need any further information with regards to fitting the path roller sleeves, please contact us.